Hello everybody, welcome along to what promises to be a spectacular weekend here, the finale to the 2019 season in the Formula Renault Eurocup. And for the first time in 13 years, the championship has come outside Europe. We're here at the Yas Marina Circuit and the Yas Island in Abu Dhabi for the final two races of the season. We've got the first of two qualifying sessions coming up, and the heat is already descending upon us. Yesterday we reached air temperatures of close to 40 degrees, track temperatures well above 50 degrees, so it's a real challenge this for the drivers. It's also an anti-clockwise circuit, and it's a very challenging track as well, but having spoken to the drivers yesterday, they all, to a man, have really enjoyed the challenge of driving around here, although some of them have been here before in other categories. 10 of the drivers on the grid, half of the grid, have some experience of racing, not these cars, but racing around here in things like the UAE Formula 4 Championship. My name's Chris Hartley. I'm going to be commentating for you throughout the course of the weekend, and very privileged to be out here in Abu Dhabi for the first time, and absolutely mind blown by this world-class facility, which is close to 10 years old now. It's almost exactly to the day, in fact. 30th of October 2009, when the circuit was officially opened, ready for that year's Formula 1 Grand Prix. It's a brilliant facility, 5.5 kilometres long. It's got 21 corners. It's got a real combination of long straights, fast turns, but also some, especially at the end of the lap, tight technical turns as well. So the drivers have to stay absolutely concentrated and focused throughout this, not least our two championship protagonists. There's the championship leader, the Australian Oscar Piastri, in his second season of the Formula Renault Eurocup, and he arrives here with a 13.5 point lead. Why half points? Because we had a half points race a few rounds ago due to the weather in Hungary at the Hungaroring, and 13.5 points the gap, 50 points still available. His nearest rival is Victor Martens, the French driver. The gap between them 13.5 points, and it's been going of late in favour of Victor Martens, who has outscored the championship leader by 39 points over the last 3 weekends. He scored 125 points out of a possible 150 to bring that gap down. So you look at the driver that sealed at Hockenheim last time out, the rookie championship, Caio Collet, the talented Brazilian driver, one of the drivers on the Renault Sport Academy, hence the yellow and black Renault colours on his cars. The Brazilian still looking for his first win of the season, but he has dominated the rookie standings. He's had 9 rookie wins this season and has been on the podium many times as well. 5 podium finishes for him, but he's been going well here. There you see one of the new teams to international single-seater racing, but with lots of talented and experienced pedigree behind them. That's the Global Racing Services team, the GRS team, Spanish-based team, which was formed out of the former KDC racing team. New teams to come into this new era of Formula Renault Eurocup with these new hugely powerful cars that were brought in for this season. So lap records being smashed all the way around the circuits that we've been to so far this year. 18 races completed. Oscar Piastri with 6 wins this year. Victor Martens with 5 race victories. And in terms of podiums, it's 10 for Oscar and 12 for Victor. Now, we've had a busy day yesterday for the drivers. There is Victor Martens, the other Renault Sport Academy driver, 5th in last year's championship, and moving across this year to the Dutch team, the MP Motorsport team. And Christian Longard to a very close second in the championship last year behind Max Futrell. Spoke to Victor yesterday. He's one of the innovative drivers this weekend, because he found essentially a dustbin, filled it with icy cold water and dived into it. He made his own ice bath, which he was getting in and out of, into straight after the qualifying sessions, because as you can imagine, inside the cockpits, and some of them were doing long runs yesterday in practice, it gets extremely hot. Alexander Smolia there, who is 3rd in the championship. He could move up to 2nd place in the standings, but he can't now win at the championship. Even if he were to win both races and Oscar Piastri were to score 0 points, he'd only level with Oscar. He's 50 behind, he'd only level with Oscar on points, and Oscar has more race wins. So on countback, even if he won those 2 races, he would not be able to take the championship title. But a very strong second season for Alexander Smolia. and he was saying to me yesterday that this is a very challenging circuit. The corners all flow into one another, and if you get one corner wrong, it affects the next 2 or 3 turns for you. So we had 3 practice sessions yesterday. It was a very busy day for them. Several hours of practice yesterday morning. Then they had the 2 official collective practice sessions, one in the afternoon and one in the evening yesterday, and that is because today's race is going to be the first time ever that the Formula Renault Eurocup race will finish under the cover of darkness. Of course, we have this brilliant floodlit system here at the Yas Marina Circuit, and it goes dark here local time around about, well, close to 6 o'clock in the evening, which is when we're going to be starting the race. Just for reference, it's just after 11:30 a.m. here local time in Abu Dhabi, and so they had some experience of driving under the floodlights, and the drivers absolutely loved that experience. I spoke to Kush Maini, who's one of the top rookies in the championship this year, the Indian driver, and he had a beaming smile when I asked him what it was like, because it was the first time he'd driven under lights, like it was for the vast majority of the drivers, and he said it was like being in a computer game, and several of the drivers said it felt that little bit quicker than it did in the daytime. Also, the track conditions for most of them were better yesterday as the air temperature went down as the darkness fell. The tyres, which obviously quite enormous stress, the Hankook tyres in this high temperatures that we have, they were able to find some time. But Victor Martens is the driver that has dominated so far the timesheets in those practice sessions. He's topped all 3 practice sessions so far, and remarkably yesterday in the second and third practice sessions he managed to set exactly the same lap time, 2 minutes 8.193 seconds. So we're looking at the qualifying times. That's maybe a benchmark time to take a look for. Oscar Piastri was second to him in last night's session. He managed to bring the gap down. He had been second in the long free practice session in the morning, but in the first 50-minute free practice session in the afternoon yesterday, he was in 4th place. Victor Martens, Lorenzo Colombo, a race winner in Formula Renault Eurocup this year. Matteo Nannini were the 3 drivers ahead of him, and Oscar was 4th, but he closed the gap with a very good lap yesterday. And so the difference between the top 2 in the championship when they finished the day yesterday was just 64 thousandths of a second. Victor Martens ahead of Oscar Piastri. Sebastian Fernandez had a terrific lap as well, the Arden driver, to come home in 3rd place in that free practice session, which ended at around about 8:30 last night. And that was a fine effort. I spoke again to him after that practice session, and Sebastian said to me, I'm really getting there with the circuit now. I've found a second and a half since we started lapping at the very start of the day. So he's made big progress forward in the challenge to get himself up there and near the front row of the grid for this qualifying session. A 20-minute qualifying session then. Drivers saying you're probably going to get 2, maybe 3 really good laps out of the tyres, but obviously then the heat of the circuit comes into play. It was a bit dusty yesterday as well. They were out in the morning and got off the racing line. It was a little bit dusty. 21 corners here. There's a very long straight. You just saw a glimpse of it a few minutes ago, which is over 1 kilometre long. 2 long straights here, although the second of them is almost a big sweeping curve, which takes you into the final sector. Which is the sector that 2 or 3 drivers have said to me, even though it's the slower sector, they love because the corners flow into one another. That's where you go under the Yas Hotel, and that's where you can make up enormous amounts of time on the lap. So they're 2 of the drivers for DRS team running together. So green and grey colours. Alessio Deleda, number 71. Yeah, Lloveras, the Spaniard, in his second season of Formula Renault Eurocup, number 72. German driver Matthias Luton. The Formula Renault Eurocup debut is the 3rd driver in the 73 car. Alessio Deleda, the Italian driver, is somebody who's come from bike racing, from 600 Supersport racing, to move into car racing at a relatively old age, 23, before he started racing cars. So, of the circuit drivers with lots of experience on the track yesterday, even if they hadn't been here before, and they'll spend a lap just building up the cars, getting the tyres up to temperature, take too long in these conditions, but you've got to be careful not to overcook them, so they're ready to go in prime condition, ready for your first flying lap of the session. So there is Oscar Piastri, not yet topped the times. Victor Martens, the equation is quite simple in terms of the championship this weekend. I mean, there are obviously various ways he can win it. He can overtake Oscar Piastri, but if Victor Martens wins both races this weekend, pure and simple, he'll win the championship. He's 13.5 points behind, and if he were to win both races and Oscar were to finish second to him both times, and that's entirely possible, as they've been first and second in the practice sessions so far, then Victor would win by half a point. He'd outscore Oscar Piastri by 7 points in the race. Equally, as we see the Yas Hotel there, that's the run into turns 16 and 17, the left-hander, and 18 as they go under the hotel walkway into this third sector. That left-hander at turn 19. Accelerate out of there, good vantage point from those watching from just outside the hotel reception there, as they go into the right turn then at 20, carry a bit more speed into 21, the final turn. Get that absolutely right then, because you're on to the flying lap to start this 5.5 kilometre run. Caio Collet, then the driver who could be up there. He's been up there in the top 6 all the way through the course of the free practice sessions. The Brazilian, 17 years of age, from Sao Paulo, and talent spotted by Nicola Todt and managed by him as well. So the Brazilian, as I say, looking for his first win. French F4 champion last year with 7 wins, and was 6th in the F4 UAE Championship, and scored a race victory here at Yas Marina en route to that pretty impressive position in the championship. What was his first season of car racing, having been a very experienced, very quick competitor in the national and international karting scene. 3rd in the World Karting Championship as a junior, being his outstanding effort. So they're one of the drivers coming in and on board this weekend in the RAce GP squad. Number 4, Gregoire Saucy, the Swiss driver, some experience of the Formula Renault Eurocup this season, and he was out at Hockenheim a couple of weeks ago with best results of 5th place in the first race there, in rather different conditions than we've got here. So the RAce GP squad sealing their 3rd consecutive team's title last time out with a 1-2-3 finish at Hockenheim. They ran Oscar Piastri, Caio Collet, Alex Smollier, and the driver you've been looking at, Gregoire Saucy, in the championship. So they've got 4 drivers out there. MP Motorsport have got 4 drivers out there. And we've got JD Motorsport with 2, Arden with 3, M2 Competition and Bytec with 2 each, and the GRS squad, which I talked about earlier, with 3 each. So fastest time so far, and we've not yet had a proper quick time, is Leonardo Lorandi, but that's a 2 minute 13.7. So they're still building up times. Looking at the 2:08s, maybe a below 2:08 minute lap is what's going to seal this. So over the line to start his lap comes Gregoire Saucy. Just under 10 minutes to go, so it's going to be a short, sharp session this. To the Swiss driver, should be there or thereabouts in the practice sessions yesterday. He was 12th last night, and in the afternoon, in the hotter conditions, he finished in 9th place. Saucy in the number 4 car goes on the attack for the RAce GP squad. 9th in the German Formula 4 Championship last year, did some Italian Formula 4 racing as well last year and the season before, but he has been in the Formula Renault Eurocup before. A couple of years ago he had 5 races in the 2017 season. Adrian Valles' team, the ABF team, not with the championship anymore. Zaleko Roy has now set the quickest time of the session so far, but it's still not going to be quick enough. A 2 minute 10.197 second lap. But Lorenzo Colombo has just crossed the line, and he gets into the 2:08s, the first driver to do so. So Lorenzo Colombo, in his 2nd season of the championship, and now a race winner in the Formula Renault Eurocup. He sets the early benchmark time. Lorenzo, who arrives here 5th in the championship, 3 wins this season, 2 at Le Castellet and 1 at Spa. Saucy moves through. Victor Martens has set the quickest lap now, the championship contender, with a 2:08.382. That's within a couple of tenths of his best lap so far. Well, the GRS car's running wide in the background as we continue to follow Grégoire Sausset's lap. The Swiss driver currently in 12th place, but he's looking like this is going to be a first proper lap for him. So through under the hotel he goes, into the left-hander at turn 19. Just 2 more turns to go to complete his lap. We've got Victor Martens, Lorenzo Colombo and Patrick Pasma at the top 3 at the moment. But only Victor Martens into the 2:08, so there's possibly more to come for him. Sebastian Fernandez has crossed the line, and he's gone through now into the top 3, where he was yesterday. Grégoire Sausset crosses the line, and the lap that you just seen puts him in 6th place, so that's a good lap from Grégoire. 6th place, 2:09.9, but it's a second and a half away from Victor Martens, who is, at the moment, is half a second quicker than anybody out there. So Victor Martens quickest. Oscar Piastri has just crossed the line and gone second quickest, but he's half a second behind, 2:08.890. He was 23 thousandths of a second quicker than Lorenzo Colombo, who's been bumped down to 3rd place. Matteo Nannini, who went well last night and was in the top 3 yesterday afternoon, he has gone 4th quickest. Alexander Smollier has just crossed the line to go 5th. Caio Collet in 6th place. Sebastian Fernandez down to 7th place now. Larande in 8th. Federico Ovestiti in 9th place. Petr Patejcek is in top 10 just about. You get a winner of the first ever race. New era on the Renault. That is the driver that's just outside the top 10 currently. Glimpse of Matthias Luton, the German driver. There is Caio Collet then, the Brazilian number 2 car, and currently down in 8th place. But in sector 1, Caio has just set the absolute best first sector, so he's on a charge here, and it could be a good lap for him. First sector was very, very strong indeed for Caio, if he can keep the lap up, although he's backed off out of it by the looks of things. But the start of the lap was very good indeed, as we pick up number 1, the championship leader. Not the number 1 driver of last year, but as the team that won the title with Max Futrell, RSGP, get to run the number 1. Oscar Piastri finishing in 8th place last year. Several podium finishes for the former British Formula 4 racer. And the Australian, say, with more wins than anybody else so far this season. 6 race victories, although he hasn't won for the last couple of weekends. That said, he's picked up 3 consecutive podium finishes. As I say, the gap's been coming down between him and Victor Martens, but it was down to 5.5 points with a race to go at Hockenheim a couple of weeks ago. However, Victor Martens had a little bit of contact out on track, dropped down out of the top 3. Into 2nd place came Oscar Piastri. Victor only finished in 5th place, so the gap widened by 8 points to 13.5. So generally, the points have been going in favour of Victor Martens, but Oscar did last time out, and he's just taken provisional pole position. He did take more points, so 2:08.326 for Oscar Piastri. Excellent lap, and look how close the gap is, 56 thousandths of a second between the top 2, and between the top 2 in the championship as well. Piastri fastest, Martens in 2nd, Lorenzo Colombo in 3rd place, and then in 4th place Sebastian Fernandez improved last time around. Kushmaines has his first flying lap to go 5th, so Kushmaini, who this season has had a couple of rookie category victories, the Indian driver, 6th in the championship, 5th in the session. Matteo Nannini 6th place now. And then we've got Omri Cordial into 7th position, the Belgian. Alex Smollier 8th. Frank Bird up into the top 10. Caio Collet just behind him in 10th place. So Frank Bird having a good session, up into 9th place, losing the back end almost there though as he pushes hard with Victor Martens. Comes out and heads over the line, and he goes back to the top of the times, 2:08.324 by 2 thousandths of a second. So 2 thousandths of a second, and you could see just how hard he was pushing as he came out of the final turn there. So terrific effort by Victor Martens. It's still not as quick as they were going yesterday, but of course the track is a living, breathing object, and it can change all the way through the course of the weekend. So it's not the absolute best lap of the weekend, but it's good enough to be on pole position for now by 2 thousandths of a second. Victor said to me yesterday, you know, I'm honestly not thinking about the championship. I'm just thinking about trying to win both the races, and if I win both the races, I'll win the championship. And he was very pleased with the start to the weekend that he managed to have. Number 18 now, one of the MP Motorsport drivers is Omri Cordial, the Belgian driver, who was up into 7th place last time he crossed the line. Cordial going well. His older brother Gizan competed in the Formula Renault Eurocup a couple of years ago, in 2017. It's been an improvement for Patrick Pasma, who's come up into 9th place. So that puts Frank Bird down to 10th and Caio Collet down into 11th position. There's more to come here from Caio's. They've been up in the top 6 in the practice sessions, but it's not quite going his way at the moment. So Victor Martins fastest, 2:08.324. Oscar Piastri second, 2:08.326. 0.02 of a second between them. Nearly half a second behind them, Lorenzo Colombo is third, 2 minutes 8.801. Sebastian Fernandez fourth, 2 minutes 08.954 seconds. 2:08.966 just behind him. Kushmaini in 5th place. Matteo Nannini, 2:08.9 as well, is next up in 6th place. So there's very little, within half a tenth of a second of each other, are Fernandez, Maini and Nannini 4th, 5th and 6th. Cordial is 7th, Smollier is 8th, Pasma 9th, Bird in 10th. 2 minutes to go. Collet 11th, Laurandis 12th, Malvestiti is 13th, Govaras is 14th, Tejcek in 15th, De Wilde 16th, Sussi down to 17th, Aleko Roy 18th, Deleda 19th, and Leuten in 20th place. That's the way it stands. Is anybody on a fly? Well, absolute best first sector last time through the timing beam for Oscar Piastri, so he's going to have one more go at this to try and get through in the number 1 car, to try and wrestle that all-important pole position away from Victor Martins. He's had 5 poles so far this year. Victor has had 7 pole positions. So can he do it? Tracking number 33 Arden car. But Fernandez, who's been impressive so far this weekend, Sebastian Fernandez in the 33 car, and goes out wide over the curbs and crosses the line. Is that going to improve his 4th position? Through he goes, and no, he doesn't. He stays in 4th place. As Oscar Piastri getting on personal best in sector 1, absolute best in sector 1 for Victor Martins. So Piastri will cross the line first. He had set the best first sector time, but Victor Martins is on an even quicker lap at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on their progress. There is Lorenzo Colombo, number 12 in the MP Motorsport team. 3 wins this year and currently 3rd in this qualifying session, and with a nice clear track ahead of him. So Piastri went through and he backed off in the end, so it was a slow lap in the end, even though it started well. 2 minutes 11.536, maybe realising that he wasn't going to do it, and he's going to have one more go here. 30 seconds left to run. No green or purple sector 2 for Victor Martins, so absolute best in sector 1, but he was down a little bit in sector 2. So wait for him to come through to see if he can extend his provisional pole position lap. He's just making his way through the final sector at the moment in the number 11 car. Continue to follow Lorenzo Colombo. He's got to find a half a second if he can get through. He's going to be just about the last driver to cross the line before the flag comes out. So Cordial goes through to start the lap. Colombo just ahead of him on track. Might have one more go at this. Here is Victor Martins then. He's going to see the flag this time through. Is he going to improve his lap time? No is the answer. Just lost out there. A 2:08.328. He wasn't very far away though. 0.04 of a second away from his best lap of the session. But he's still on provisional pole because Oscar Piastri was unable to improve last time through. Oscar is still on a flying lap, but he hasn't improved on the best time in either sector 1 or sector 2. So he's nearing the end of the lap now, Oscar, in the number 1 car. But it doesn't look like, unless he has an absolutely sensational 3rd sector, he's going to be able to get that pole position away from Victor Martins. By the narrowest of margins, it looks like it is going the way of the driver 2nd in the championship. No late improvers, as suspected. The tyres in this heat, 3 laps really, maximum you're going to get out of them in absolute flying qualifying conditions. The tyres were holding up very well through the long runs in the tests yesterday. There is flashing through shot Oscar Piastri, so he's almost at the end of the lap now. Made his way into turn 20, into turn 21, and onto the start-finish straight he will go, but I'm not sure he's got enough here to improve the lap time. He crosses the line, and it's a 2:08.496. It was a good effort, but that's a 10th or so away from his best, and so he's going to stay in 2nd place. There you see Alexander Smollier going through shot. the SMP back car. 4th place in the end for Alex, so good effort that. His last lap was his best lap, a 2:08.953. So he gets into the 2:08 bracket as well, and was just a fraction quicker than Sebastian Fernandez, who's already finished his session in 5th place. Kushmaini in 6th position. But how close is it going to be this weekend? That's incredible, isn't it? When it's such a long lap, this 5.5 kilometre long lap, 21 corners, and in the end, you've got 0.02 of a second between the top two in the first qualifying session, with those two drivers, of course, being the top two in the championship. But it's the driver doing the chasing in the points, Victor Martens, that will have a big smile on his face when he gets back, because the Frenchman has taken here at Yas Marina his the first pole position in the Formula Renault Eurocup at this circuit. So a historic moment for him in terms of his pole positions. That's his 8th of the season now. Victor Martens with a time of 2 minutes 8.324 seconds. Oscar Piastri, the championship leader, second, 2 minutes 8.326 seconds. Just 0.02 of a second between them. Lorenzo Colombo comes home in 3rd place, 2 minutes 8.801. 0.47 seconds behind. 4th place, Alexander Smolia, Russian driver, 2 minutes 8.953 seconds. He was by 1,000th of a second on the second row of the grid, just missing out on 4th spot by an even narrower margin than we had between the top two. With Sebastian Fernandez, who comes home in 5th place. Kushmaini in 6th place was just 12,000ths of a second behind him, 2 minutes 8.966 seconds. Good effort from Matteo Nannini, who's got less experience of these Formula Renault cars than a lot of the drivers around him. So Matteo in 7th place with a 2:08.995, so less than half a tenth of a second, covering those 4 drivers from 4th down to 7th place. Omri Cordial comes home in 8th place, 2:09.271. Frank Bird in 9th place, 2:09.376. And Patrick Pasma rounds out the top 10, 2:09.445 seconds, his best lap time of that first qualifying session. 11th place, Caio Collet. 12th position, Leonardo Lorandi. 13th, Federico Malvestiti. 14th, Avrei Joviath. And then 15th was Petra Patacek, one of the drivers that's been a rookie winner this year, picking up the Hankook trophies for doing so. Hugo de Vilde, who's the winner of the first round of the championship, comes home in 16th place. Grégoire Saucy in 17th. Lucas Aleko-Roy back in the championship. He's had a part season this year in 18th place. Alessio Deleda, the Italian former motorbike racer, in 19th place, and the German Matthias Leuten in 20th position. So all the drivers getting successfully through that qualifying session here at Yas Marina. The times a couple of tenths slower by and large than they were yesterday. So track conditions have changed. Lots of other things racing here this weekend, and different rubber being laid down as well. We already had some practice sessions before the Formula Renault drivers went out onto the track. There then is your pole sitter. No points for pole position, but he's going to be ahead of Oscar Piastri on the grid this evening. Right, we'll take a look at some of the highlights from that first qualifying session of the weekend then here at Yas Marina, with the race to come this evening. Drivers going out on track, taking a couple of laps just to get the tyres set and ready to go. Once they went on track, they all stayed out by and large. A short 20-minute session. Grégoire Saucy was one of the early drivers to get up into the top 6. Oscar Piastri there, the #1 car, trying desperate to get pole position. That's as close as he's been to topping the times this weekend, and as close as he's been to Victor Martens. But in the end, ultimately, it was that man that came through. See how hard he was trying. Victor Martens crossing the line to take pole position, his 8th of the season, by just 0.02 of a second here at the Yas Marina Circuit. So the drivers will now go straight into debrief. Yesterday, quite interesting, fascinating watching them. As soon as they get out of the cars, they go into the garages, they grab a drink of water out of the fridge, they cool down, get a cool towel. As you can imagine, driving conditions pretty tough for them. And they immediately sit down on the laptops and start discussing things with the engineers. Lorenzo Colombo there, you just saw in the background. Sandra Dorsman, the team boss of MP Motorsports. And I think Lorenzo is pretty pleased with that. He's one of the drivers that's found a bit of pace there. Last night he did a 2:08.663. Victor Martens, as I say, who did a 2:08.1 yesterday. Twice he did it. Not quite as quick today, but others have closed the gap. So Victor will be on one hand, very, very pleased indeed to get pole position, to get first blood in this battle between himself and Oscar Piastri for the championship title. But he'll also be acutely aware that the others are closing the gap to him with each and every session, not least Oscar Piastri. Lorenzo Colombo there finding 3 or 4 tenths of a second over what he managed to do yesterday to come through and finish that session in 3rd place. There's Oscar Piastri, who is looking fairly happy. 0.02 of a second. You can talk about one error at one corner, one tiny fraction that he didn't quite get right, and that was where the time maybe went, but it was nonetheless a very good lap from him. Thibaut de Merendol, the team boss there, team founder, co-team founder, with the beard, was the driver speaking to him. That was a debrief with the engineer. Team's championship already wrapped up for them, but they want to get their driver home and winning the championship title here this weekend. He could, if things went his way, wrap it up after the first race of the weekend. If he's more than 26 points clear after race 1 this evening here at Yas Marina, then he'll wrap up the championship title. But he knows well that the driver he's got to try and stay with is going to be ahead of him on the grid. So there, the cars parked up. They will get their debriefs, the drivers. They will go through the data, try and analyse it. They'll try and understand what's changed with the circuit. But of course, it is going to be very different when they go out this evening for what will be the first ever race to finish under the cover of darkness in the Formula Renault Eurocup. At 6 o'clock local time, that we will have that first race of the weekend, and we'll have Victor Martens on pole position and the championship leader Oscar Piastri alongside him on the front row of the grid. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage of qualifying, and we'll catch you later on for today's race. From me, Chris Hartley, and the team, goodbye for now.